A new threat. For the first time, China's electronic warfare jet enters the ADIZ. More cases, more cancellations. Taiwan's COVID surge pours cold water on Lunar New Year events. While in Hong Kong, it's locked down for thousands as the city struggles to contain its own outbreak. Plus, it's a frogman's life, an inside look at what it takes to become a member of Taiwan's elite naval force. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yin Khvat. China's Air Force has sent 52 warplanes into Taiwan's air defense zone over the past 2 days. The latest incursion included an upgraded electronic warfare plane not previously seen. The J-16D fighter jet is capable of intelligence gathering and interfering with radar systems. Our reporter Jaime Ocon has this story.
On Monday, Taiwan scrambled its fighter jets and deployed missile defense systems in response to another incursion from the Chinese military. 13 Chinese planes entered the southwest corner of Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ. This included 10 fighter jets, 2 bombers, and 1 radar plane that went further into the defense zone before circling back. Taiwan's government reiterated that it is closely monitoring activities across the strait. For the first time, the group of Chinese planes that breached the ADIZ included the J-16D, an electronic warfare fighter which gathers intelligence and can jam radars. It was first exhibited in a 2015 air show.
伴随式电战机来讲，基本上可以对大概160公里以外的敌军那不管是地对空的或空对空的雷达进行一个干扰，像盖台这样一个方式呢，去掩护它自己本身的这个机队的这样一个作战。
The rapid modernization of the China's People's Liberation Army, or the PLA, is raising concerns.
解放军一直吃到美军的这种伴随式电战机的这个苦头，告诉美方说，今天过去你有的，我现在也有了，代表就是说大陆其实在空中作战上已经开始走向一种多机种，然后进行一个机种联合打击作战的这样一个态势。
As both China and the U.S. increase their posturing in the region, Taiwan is looking to ensure its own security without getting caught in an arms race. Chris Ma and Jaime Ocon for TaiwanPlus.
For more on the J-16D fighter jet, our reporter Jaime Ocon spoke to Gerald C. Brown, a defense analyst based in Washington, D.C. He began by asking him what was a new threat the fighter jet poses to Taiwan's defenses.
The J-16D, this is the first time that we've seen the J-16D not only in the ADIZ, but running any kind of operational mission as far as I'm aware. It's been revealed, like we saw at an air show last year, but it's the first time we've seen it really in action. So seeing it in the ADIZ is probably likely for training purposes. The J-16D is an electronic warfare variant of the J-16. So essentially it carries fewer weapons, but it carries more sophisticated electronic warfare equipment, allowing it to fly with other combat aircraft and help clear the way for them, essentially by degrading radar, communications, and targeting systems. So with the new deployments of the J-16D, they're likely trying to test out its capabilities and just exercise and train.
And what kind of a message is China trying to send with this latest incursion?
So, of course, we can never be completely certain. But with these larger incursions, there usually does appear to be some kind of political element of it. In this instance, I would say it's most likely in response to the joint U.S. and Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force exercises operating in the South China Sea area. Obviously, the United States has 2 carrier strike groups there, the USS Carl Vinson and the USS Abraham Lincoln, operating alongside the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force. The last time we saw a large incursion to this extent was in October of last year, which was a similar exercise going on between the United States Navy, Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force, Australian Royal Navy, and a few others. Joint military capabilities in general are very concerning for the PLA. It's far more difficult to counter military operating in unison.
Taiwan's government today reported 38 total cases of COVID-19 in the country, with 13 local ones. Health authorities have announced the opening of a new quarantine facility to help ease the burden on the nation's health system. And as Bingwang reports, some cities are now cancelling major festivals in the run-up to the upcoming Lunar New Year holiday as they look to prevent the virus from spreading.
Another year without fireworks. This religious festival in Taidong, a city in southeastern Taiwan, traditionally rings in the Lantern Festival, slated for the start of February. But it's been cancelled for the second year running. While Taidong is cancelling their events to prevent the spread of COVID-19, Tainan City in southern Taiwan is waiting for more guidance on their planned festivities.
盐水风炮距离到现在还有3个礼拜的时间，所以说目前为止还是如常举办。那除非疫情有急转直下、有翻转的现象，中央流行疫情指挥中心有宣布更加严格的这个防疫措施。
With the rise in number of domestic COVID-19 cases, the government has set up quarantine centers to prevent hospitals from spilling over. 1,500 beds have been added to the new centers.
20岁到49岁，这样的一个落地裁剪的阳性，那评估身体没有急性的状态，那均优先收在我们的这种集中检疫所里面。
For the more severe infections, the patients will be sent directly to hospitals.
那至于说连重症都要放到防疫旅馆的话，就不适当了，因为重症病人他的病情变化可能会很快。
The central government also announced stricter measures for visitors to these hospitals. Visitors must now present a negative COVID test, even if they're fully vaccinated. As for COVID treatment, Taiwan has received over 2,000 courses of Merck's antiviral pill, and 20,000 courses of Pfizer's pill are expected to arrive before the end of the week. While several festivities may be cancelled, central and local governments are working hard to ensure that other activities can still take place, and that Taiwan can welcome the Lunar New Year safely. Damon Lin and Bingwang for TaiwanPlus.
The head of the World Health Organization says it's dangerous to assume that the world is approaching the end of the coronavirus pandemic. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus also warned that Omicron may not be the final COVID variant to emerge. His remarks come after the WHO's Europe director suggested at the weekend that the region could be moving towards an end game in which more people get infected, but the risk of serious illness or death is much lower. On a positive note, Tedros said it is possible that the pandemic's acute phase could end this year if global testing and vaccination targets are met.
There are different scenarios for how the pandemic could play out and how the acute phase could end. But it's dangerous to assume that Omicron will be the last variant or that we are in the end game. On the contrary, globally, the conditions are ideal for more variants to emerge.
At least 78 Winter Olympics arrivals have tested positive for COVID-19 in Beijing, including at least one who is an athlete or team official. More than 3,000 people have now arrived in Beijing for the Games, which are set to take place from February 4th to 20th inside a closed-loop bubble that separates all event personnel from the public. Those who test positive will be isolated and their close contacts notified. China has recorded dozens of coronavirus cases in the capital and tested 2 million residents. Travel restrictions have also been imposed as part of its zero-COVID approach. Thousands of people in Hong Kong are being put under lockdown for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic, as a recent outbreak of the Omicron variant threatens the territory's zero-COVID strategy. Ryan Kirkpatrick has more.
The day ends in Hong Kong, and thousands more are confined to their apartments in this public housing estate. It's the third building to be locked down in a week. This is the first time the territory is enforcing isolated 5-day lockdowns. With new cases hitting triple digits for the second day in a row, something not seen for a year and a half, civil servants have been ordered to work from home. The Omicron wave continues to surge over the world, and the last zero COVID holdouts like Hong Kong are struggling to keep their heads above water.
And this is also the mainland's strategy. They have been having this sporadic outbreak in various cities, especially in recent days. So the important thing is, under our strategy, we strengthen our capacity to tackle these episodic outbreaks.
But harsh measures like these have frayed nerves not only in the lockdown buildings, where residents have complained about poor communication and testing arrangements, but even among government advisors. One leading expert said new case numbers now matter less than vaccines administered, something the government let stagnate for months as it refused to offer incentives or persuade residents to get jabbed while cases were low. Hong Kong's government has also doubled down on its controversial decision to cull thousands of small pets, pointing to a positive sample collected from a confiscated hamster. But experts say this isn't proof of what would be the first known case of pet-to-owner transmission.
And we need to remember that millions of people around the world have been infected by SARS-CoV-2. Millions of people around the world have pets, and there have been no cases proven of pets transmitting infection to other humans. The same theoretical risk is there, but it just doesn't happen.
Like everywhere else, returning to zero COVID feels like a remote possibility in Hong Kong. All eyes in the city and abroad will be watching how the authorities adapt their approach. Ryan Kilpatrick for TaiwanPlus.
Burkina Faso's army announced in a televised statement on Monday that it has detained the president, suspended the constitution and dissolved the government following a day of gun battles in the capital, Ouagadougou. Crowds took to the streets of the capital in celebration on hearing news of the takeover. The coup follows dissatisfaction with the government's perceived failure to get a handle on Islamic insurgencies in the West African country. The US has placed up to 8,500 troops on standby to deploy to Europe. That's as NATO is bolstering defences on its eastern borders in readiness for a possible Russian attack on Ukraine. The Pentagon said Monday that the troops would be deployed only if NATO activates a rapid response force or, quote, if other situations develop. Russia has massed an estimated 100,000 troops near its border with Ukraine, but says it has no plans to invade the country. Diplomatic efforts have so far failed to de-escalate the crisis. There is deadlock over Moscow's demands that Ukraine be blocked from joining NATO and for reduced NATO presence in the region. Coming up here on TaiwanPlus, we meet the British-Belgian teenager whose idea of a crazy adventure landed her in the record books. Details after the break.
台湾最有人情味的地方。
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus. For more great news from Taiwan and around the world, download the app TaiwanPlus.
Welcome back. You're watching Taiwan Plus News. A reminder of our top story. China's Air Force sent 52 warplanes into Taiwan's air defense zone over the last 2 days. This latest incursion included an upgraded electronic warfare plane not previously seen. The J-16D fighter jet is capable of intelligence gathering and interfering with radar systems. William Lai on Tuesday departed on his first official trip abroad as Taiwan's vice president to solidify ties with the allied nation of Honduras. Lai is visiting the Central American country to attend the inauguration ceremony for the newly elected president, Xiomara Castro. During her election campaign, Castro said she would establish diplomatic ties with China, but has since backtracked on that position. On his 5-day trip, Lai will transit through the U.S. state of California twice, where he is expected to hold video calls with United States government officials. Before boarding his flight, the vice president spoke about Taiwan's reliability as an international ally.
向国际社会展现台湾坚定实践以良善治理的民主制度，台湾将会勇敢承担区域甚至国际秩序稳定的重责大任，让国际社会了解台湾是一个值得信赖的朋友，台湾有能力帮助国际社会，深化台湾在国际的发展空间。
Taiwan's special forces rank among the most formidable in the world. The grueling training these elite Marines undergo prepares them for a vital frontline role in any potential conflict with China. Jaime Ocon has this report on what it means to be a frogman.
This is the road to heaven, a 100-meter path that separates ordinary soldiers from Taiwan's most elite naval force, the Amphibious Reconnaissance and Patrol Unit, more commonly known as Frogmen, Taiwan's equivalent to a U.S. Navy SEAL. These Marines are at the end of a brutal 12-week training course, the last 10 days which are spent performing exercises like this.
最难的我觉得是时间的调配，因为它中间没有休息，就是可能只有4-5分钟让你去厕所或者是喝水，然后就要继续进行下一个科目。 连续的6天5夜。
Many trainees fade in and out of consciousness from the fatigue. But the exercises are meant to develop an iron will, which they'll need to complete specialized missions as frogmen.
不怕死？
为什么不怕死？
因为我爱我的国家，我爱台湾，为台湾付出生命是一定要的。
In the event of war with China, which claims Taiwan as a breakaway province, these trainees will find themselves on the front line, scouting enemy positions and calling in attacks. In training, they spend much of their time in the water. As Taiwan is an island nation, these future frogmen need to learn how to hold their breath and stay submerged with full combat gear. Of the 31 who started the course, only 15 finished. Taiwan hopes these new frogmen will serve as inspiration for the next generation of soldiers tasked with safeguarding the island. James Rayner and Jaime Ocon for TaiwanPlus.
A magnitude 5.3 earthquake has struck Haiti's southern peninsula, leaving at least 2 people dead and causing widespread damage. Haiti's Civil Protection Agency said the earthquake damaged hundreds of homes, leaving residents crowded into the streets. The Caribbean country is still recovering from a powerful earthquake last year that killed more than 2,000 people and left hundreds of thousands in need of humanitarian assistance. Heavy snow has stopped flights at Istanbul airport, Europe's busiest hub. People walked around the waterlogged rubble of a warehouse at the airport's cargo terminal. Its roof collapsed under the weight of the snow. Blizzard conditions also caused traffic chaos in Turkey's largest city, with many vehicles stuck in snowdrifts. It's a dream for many to fly around the world and explore new places. But for 19-year-old Zara Rutherford, it was far more than just a flight of fancy. The British-Belgian aviator flew herself into the record books as the youngest woman to fly the world solo. She spoke to our reporter Sandy Chi about her incredible adventure.
Young and bold, Zara Rutherford comes in for landing in Belgium, accompanied by the country's Red Devils aerobatic display team after completing her record-breaking journey. It's a story months in the making. The teenager set off last August and traveled more than 50,000 kilometers across 5 continents, visiting 52 countries, including Taiwan. Zara's journey required tremendous determination.
So the main goal for me in the very beginning was just to go on this crazy adventure and have this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But then I never thought it'd be possible because, flying around the world is challenging, it's dangerous, it's expensive. And so I never really thought much about it. But then I was finishing school and I thought, actually, this is the perfect opportunity to do something crazy and fly around the world. So I planned the route.
Along the way, she encountered life-threatening situations, including extreme weather.
For example, flying through California, there were many wildfires. And then I had to divert because the smoke, it would just feel like it was almost in the cockpit and I could smell it. And it was just, everything was kind of brownish orange. And that's one of those scenarios where it was pretty scary looking back. But in the moment, I was just really focused on making sure that I got to the ground safely.
With no one but herself to accompany, Zara learned to trust her abilities.
I can't just be like, I give up, I'm done. Someone else figure it out. It is just me in the plane. There's nobody else around, and I have to figure it out. And so then I think your instincts kind of kick in of, okay, how do I get through this safely? What do I do? Let's do this. And otherwise, if I did need an extra boost, it was music. I got this huge playlist that I found on Spotify with 40 hours of music with just songs that I recognize. And so then it's just quite nice having something that I'm familiar with.
The young aviator was particularly enamored with her time in Taiwan.
I love Taiwan. Taiwan was amazing. Seeing Taipei and the hills in the background, or mountains even, was gorgeous.
And she enjoyed a special treat during her stay.
I was given bubble tea when I landed and at the hotel, and I love it. The little round things, are kind of strange, and they were slightly weird to get used to, but I really like them. I would love to come back to Taiwan once the pandemic is over and properly look around.
Now finally safe and sound back home, the journey has given Zara a new appreciation for the little things in life.
It's incredible. I'm just so happy to be home. It's been a long 5 months, so seeing the family again, seeing the cats again, I'm really happy. I would say I've become a lot more grateful for the small things, so for the things that make home home. It's been really challenging, and I remember at times I would just miss really random things like walking to the local bakery or watching TV with my cats, or these really very specific things. And I think it's made me appreciate those things a lot more, and now, I won't take this for granted.
For Zara's parents, both of whom are pilots themselves, the daughter's journey is a source of pride, and one they hope can encourage more girls to pursue careers in aviation and science.
It was amazing. It's been a roller coaster of emotions. Extremely proud now with what she has done, because it's extremely difficult what she's done. And it wasn't a given that she would succeed. And also extremely proud for the message she's bringing to young girls and young women. Go for your dreams, go for it, reach for the sky. The moment will never be right. Just go for it, and don't let other people tell you that this is something for someone else or for a boy, and even for boys. Don't be afraid to follow your heart and go where your passion lies.
With the end of one journey comes the start of another. Zara is set to begin university this year as she pursues her next dream, to fly into space as an astronaut. Patrick Chen and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
The world's largest and most powerful telescope has arrived at its cosmic parking space in orbit around the Sun. The $10 billion James Webb Space Telescope took about 1 month to travel the 1.5 million kilometre distance to its destination. The telescope's mirrors must now be meticulously aligned before it is operational, so the first test images won't be sent until June. The giant instrument will allow scientists to look further back into the history of the universe than ever before possible. Thanks for watching TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yin Khvat. We leave you with pictures of a newly discovered coral reef off Tahiti's coast. For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, please download the TaiwanPlus app. Stay safe and see you next time.